Well, my name is Dave Poe, and I guess my title up there would be construction estimator. Got started with March to Recovery actually as a volunteer in probably sometime in early May after the original cleanup and everything had been completed, and they were starting to build things back and do repairs and stuff. I started going up to Henryville through the middle of the day, taking care of the work that I had in the morning and then coming back in the evening. And I was volunteering there through the church and through March to Recovery. They already had volunteers in place that they were sending up there, and I was going out and just kind of supervising those people, trying to decide, how repairs needed to be done and things like that. And I did that for probably about 6 weeks. Through that, I met Mary Sullivan from Metro United Way, and she at some point she mentioned to me that they felt like they were going to get a grant and that they were going to have some paid construction jobs, and wanted to know if I might be interested in one.
So, what is your relationship to the tornado? Were you in it? Did you see it?
No, I live in Floyd County, so I really wasn't directly involved in the tornado, or I wasn't directly affected, I should say, by that. But of course, obviously, because I live so closely, I followed it in the news reports. I knew the damage was pretty significant up there. I was familiar with the area because I have done construction work of my own up through that area over the years. I'm a resident of Floyd County and have been for 30 years. So I was very familiar with the area. My son had actually played some basketball at Henryville High School when he was younger, so I knew where the school was at, of course, and saw the destruction that had happened there. So although I wasn't directly affected by the tornado, I was familiar with the area and what was going on.
What do you remember about the first time you went up there? How long after the storm was it, and what do you remember seeing?
Well, the first time I went up there, as I said, was early in May, so the power had been fixed. Most of the trees were gone and everything. I do remember going up or stopping there at the four-way stop, and I could see up above the hill there on down to 160, and could see all the trees knocked down and everything like that, and so I could see kind of where it was at. And by that time, they were already starting to repair Henryville High School. And the thing I remember about that was, number one, they had so much equipment and so many people already there working on that particular project, and had already done all the cleanup and everything. All the damaged stuff was torn out and gone, and they were already starting to rebuild back.
Tell me about the volunteers that you've encountered, and just how many, what they've done, maybe some stories about them.
My first impression of volunteers is I'm amazed that they're still coming. We've been we're getting close to maybe 18 months, and I felt like, that people would come through into Thanksgiving, up to Thanksgiving maybe, or something like that. But then after the holidays, we'd really see a drop off, and then I just felt like probably by this time we would be last year's news, and we would not be really getting very many significant volunteers. So I think that's the biggest thing that surprised me, is that they still are coming. They're still coming to do work, and obviously not at the pace that they were initially, but still at a pace that is giving us a chance to accomplish our goals and do what we're striving to do up there, and get the rest of the people that we haven't been able to help yet completed and back in their homes.
What is one story that has particularly touched your heart about someone that you've worked with them on their rebuilding?
I don't know if there's any one individual. The one thing that got me initially was a lot of times for our clients, I was actually the first person that came out and saw their place, saw what destruction they had, what their damage was. And when you go in there, I think even though a lot of the people had already been to the office, they'd made applications and they'd brought paperwork in, I think that they just didn't quite really feel like, well, is somebody coming to help us or not? But when I went out there and would say, okay, I'm out here to look at what it's going to take to fix this place, and you show me what your damage is, and I'm going to take that back and do an estimate on a construction estimate so we can get it submitted for approval. And in so many cases, it was just like those people were like, oh gosh, somebody is really going to help me. So somebody's actually here. I'm not filling out paperwork anymore. They're actually coming and they're going to look at the place and ask me what I want to get done and try to do it. So I think that's what that initial contact with them, in a lot of cases, that's what I always felt. Oh gosh, somebody is going to help us. Somebody is going to take care of us.
So how has going through all this changed you as a person?
Well, one thing, I had never had any exposure to this type of volunteer work, and in meeting our volunteers, so many of these groups that come to us, they do this all the time. We've had people here and they'd say, well, we went to Joplin, Missouri, or we were in New Orleans, or we were in a number of other places, and a lot of them, there are groups of them that travel together. Maybe as large as 20 or 30, and they may not all go every time they go, but they go 2 or 3 times a year to some place and do this. And it's kind of made me interested in hey, maybe I'll try to do that one of these days, and go do a couple of these trips and help some people who need help. Because again, it's amazing that these people come, they do it 3, 4, 5 times a year, some of these groups. We have one group that is coming next week. They're coming on the 14th, and I know that it is at least the 3rd time that particular group has been here to help us. So that's kind of amazing to me. I didn't realize that people did it all the time. They kind of do it as a vacation. A lot of them kind of look at it as a vacation.
So how do you think this whole storm has changed our community?
Gosh, I don't really know how to answer that. I think in this community, whether it be a storm or a lot of times this kind of stuff brings out the best of people, and that's what you always hope for, and I think it has here in Henryville. We in being involved with March to Recovery and going to the meetings from the very beginning, there are a lot of people that serve there on the steering committee or things like that. Those people, they're not getting paid, and they don't have to do that. So I think for a lot of people, it just brings out the best in them. They come, they volunteer, they see a need, they try to fulfill it, and I'm sure that a lot of other communities have people like that. Those are the people that you don't hear about. I probably couldn't name half the people as far as names on the steering committee, but those people come and they set up March to Recovery, and they made sure that March to Recovery had the things that they needed to be able to help the people that needed to be helped. And they did all that, no benefit to themselves, really. They're not getting compensated monetarily or anything like that. They came there and they did it because they saw the need here in the community, and they decided, somebody has to step up here and do something.
So, people looking back on this like 50 years from now, what would you want them to know about this community and about this crisis and how we came through it?
Well, I think, again, I just want to know that, whenever you have a crisis like this, you need to kind of look behind the curtains, see who has done the work. Stevie came in here and did what needed to be done. I mean, it's not always, that's not always as clear cut as you think it is. I mean, you know, you get people there with the same intention, but they have completely different ideas of how to get to the point that they want to be at. So even those people involved, they have to understand the art of compromise and looking at, well, you know, I think we ought to do things this way, but some other people think we ought to do things that way. We both want to get here to point C, but, you know, and we're both starting here at point A, but some of us want to go through point F and some of us want to go through point G to get there.
Yeah.
So I think you know, just the fact that those people, again, they're willing to work with other people and identify what needs to be done and then find a path to get there.
Mhm. Is there anything else you'd like to say about anything?
No, I really don't. I don't think so. I mean, the experience itself for me, you know, has been enjoyable. As I said, you know, there's nothing better going out there and making the initial contact with people. Throughout the construction process, for a lot of them, you know, that's really a stressful time. I mean, I've been involved in construction all my life, so I know that you know, as that process continues, people always, they're worried about this, they're worried about that. So you know, the time that they feel best is when you initially get started and you say, hey, we're going to help you, and then of course when you're finished and they can walk in that door. Or I mean, we have replaced, I think we've done like 15 full mobile home replacements, as well as 8 or 9 complete new houses. And you know, when you can tell those people, yeah, we're ready, you can go ahead and move in, you know, that's the best part of the job. You know, when you can say, hey, you can come back home. We had a meeting with one of our clients just this week, and we're getting real close. And the husband was talking about, you know, I just want to get back out on the hill. His house kind of sits up on the hill, and that's what he calls it. And he says, you know, I'm just excited. You guys are doing a great job, but I'm just excited to get back. You know, and that's the best of it. You know, when you know those people are, they're happy with what you've done, and they're going to have that feeling walking in that door and saying, hey, you know, this is home again. You know, this is where I'm going to be for the next 5 years or 10 years or however long.